Hello, people. Welcome to today's edition of Sports Banter with Jesse. It's Saturday, the 14th of June, 2025, and I hope you're doing good like I'm doing here. It's sunny. UK is, we don't get sun often in the UK, but the weather is fantastic. A lot of people are having barbecues and enjoying themselves, and we're here today to discuss sports and as it affects us as Africans, as Black people worldwide. So I would like to. We got a fully packed show for today, and I would like to remind you of the ethos or the core of why we have more sports. From our name, you can infer from that more means black. And why we started more sports was because we felt that we did not have the right voice in international sports, and everything that is broadcast is not within the interests of Africans and Black people worldwide. And if the BBC goes to report any sports event, they want to do it from the perspective of their own people who are paying their bills. And it's the same everywhere in the world. So we cannot expect people to tell our own stories, the way we see them. So that's why we have more sports. So this affects some of the core decisions or core debates that we have, within the sports. There's been um, a lot of things that has happened, and we've had in-house debates, we've had open debates with people, and I thought that it's something that we need to discuss as sports people. Yeah, we don't need to be naive about the society in which we live and the spaces within which the sport is played and the politics of the game itself. So we need to be aware. So today we're going to be from the perspective of more sports and what we stand for. We're going to be discussing the issue of Osimhen. We had some kind of discussion last week, and also we're going to be there are similar stories. Coco Gauff and Sabalenka, the row that happened after she won, the French Open just last weekend. And also, in the light of that, we'll be discussing the FIFA Club World Cup. So those are the three things we're going to do today. And to show you that we've done a lot of research, I will be playing you some videos. So if you're on a good ride with me today, I'll be playing you some videos so that we can see things from different perspectives, of life, and then we can be able to say, as Black people or African people, are we really getting the best deal or the best deals when it comes to world sports, football, badminton, whatever it is, whatever sports that catches your fancy, are we really getting the best deals out of it? We don't necessarily have to be spoon fed or to be served everything on a plate. No. It means once we see these things, we say it, we can make decisions based on what is best for us, what is in the best interest of Africa and Africans and Black people all over the world, because we can't sit back and let everything, go past us. So we're going to be discussing all of that today. I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the best of more sports. So we'll start once we get back from this. So, welcome back. So, the first issue that we're going to discuss, the first topic for today is Osimhen. And uh, last week, I did tell us that we were expecting a smoother transfer this time around. Uh, Last season, the season before the last, actually, it was embroiled in some kind of transfer mess. It was being offered some fantastic amount of money from Saudi league, and it was absolutely, uh, he eventually ended up in Turkey. And why was that? It was because the club that he helped to win the Scudetto, for the first time in 30 years, Napoli in this case, chose to disrespect him. And I've got some videos here, so it's not going to be as if I want to listen to other people's opinions. And also, if you're watching this and you watch the videos, please, make some comments. I'll be able to access them from here, and we'll be able to discuss what you've got in mind. So the background, as I've given you, is that Osimhen is a super talented footballer, and I really think that he is in the top 5 of strikers since we had Rashidi Yekini. I would say from the 70s to now. And Nigeria has been blessed with some fantastic, strikers. I can tell you that. You go back in history, and the standout one for us is Rashidi Yekini. And Osimhen came along, and he has dominated, the headlines across the world. He's a blockbuster seller. He can fill the stadiums. And when you have a star like that, they don't come, often. They are probably generational talent. That is the type of talent that you get once every 20 years or once every 30 years. And it's come along, and how has he managed, that? So before we get back to what should he do, go to the Saudi League or not go to the Saudi League, this is beyond transfer, just transfer. This has got to do with now, present, and it's got to do with the future as well. So let's watch video 1. And a disclaimer here, some of these videos, I've reached out to the owners, to let me play them, but I've not received reply from them. So we're going to play it under the Creative Commons law. You can only play just within less than a minute or whatever it is, and all of that. So I give them their credit because I left it the way it was. So their credit is there in the video. So thank you. Let's go.
I mean, it is an absolute joke. It would be funny if it wasn't so serious. Victor Osimhen is one of the best forwards in the world. His goals helped Napoli win the title last season. He was a top scorer in Serie A, and he's been mocked and insulted on social media by his own club, not by opposition supporters. There's these 2 videos that I've seen. One of them is racist. They've both been deleted. Osimhen is waiting for an apology. There hasn't been an apology forthcoming from Napoli so far, and his agent has come out on social media and said this is a very serious matter. This is totally unacceptable. We want an apology, but so far we haven't heard anything out of Napoli. I've contacted Napoli, and I think, reading between their lines, what they seem to think is that this has been blown out of all proportion, and it was just a joke on TikTok meant for children who consume the content that is on TikTok. Well, Victor Osimhen doesn't think it's a joke. He's virtually removed every single picture of himself in a Napoli kit from his Instagram profile today, and he's still waiting for an apology. Now, interestingly, he's in the squad for Napoli's game this evening against Udinese. He was filmed arriving at the Napoli team hotel this afternoon. He had his earphones in. I think he greeted the team manager, but he ignored some of his teammates who were waiting there to say hello to him. So his state of mind is confused, upset and angry, and still waiting for an apology from Napoli.
Absolutely astonishing. All right, so what's his contract situation? What I'm saying is, how can he get out of there, and when can he get out of there?
That's a good question, Mike. I mean, he's got 2 years left on his contract, but I think we've got to be a little bit careful here, because I've seen lots of stories appearing today on social media about, oh, look, he's fallen out with Napoli. Does it mean he's going to move? Is he going to come to the Premier League? Is he going to go to Saudi Arabia? And this, I think, could feed a dangerous narrative, but because you've got the situation where there's some supporters thinking, oh, he's just complaining about this because he doesn't want to sign a new contract and he wants to get a lucrative move away from Napoli. So in a way, I think we should shut down all talk of transfers and where he could be going next and concentrate on the real story. And the real story is that the champions of Italy have mocked and offended and insulted one of the best African players in the world, and it's about time they apologise to him.
Okay, you're welcome back. So this was the season before the last, when Osimhen and co actually helped, Napoli to win the Scudetto for the first time in 30 years since Maradona helped them out, So, and the guy who was speaking, the reporter, is a Sky News reporter. So Sky News or Sky Sports is a global organization, and they're not shying away from calling it what it is. It was racism. And let's not forget that this was posted, I think it was a coconut, you know what that means, is a racist term, posted on the official handle of Napoli Football Club. That the Napoli officials actually heard about this. They knew, they saw it. And instead of them to say, oh, look, we're sorry, this should not have happened, they didn't even offer any apology to Osimhen. And that was the reason why Osimhen ended up in Turkey. So before I talk a lot more about racism in the game, which we should never be afraid to point out, because a lot of Africans are quite afraid to point out some of their experiences, in Western society and how it affects them down the line. You need to talk about it. Let's watch the second video, and then we'll discuss the rest of the Osimhen saga.
Fortunata, il portiere culone. Ma come? Assante culone. Ma perché? Vero? Fallo fortunato il portiere. Ma Frosinone culone.
We already know in Italy there is a lot of racism, but by your own football club. So now obviously he want to leave. There is a footage of him today coming in training. I'm going to show you now. So now he is obviously considering to take legal action against the club because of those TikTok videos, and that's good on him because this is just not fair. I personally hope he's gonna leave and go to Real Madrid. Come on!
Okay, the first part of that clip was what was posted on Napoli's, I think it's TikTok handle. Yeah, I think Instagram or TikTok handle. And we saw that is how he found himself in Turkey, because the club refused to apologize, to Osimhen. To them, it's just a piece of meat. It's worth nothing. Like Maradona, in all his greatness, only won the league, with Napoli just once. And here was Osimhen and Gang who came along, and he was instrumental in bringing that Scudetto, back to Naples. And what did he get? What was he paid? Racism. So if racism is this at the peak of the table, imagine the rest of the evils, that goes underneath. So he found himself in Galatasaray in Turkey. He was well received, and he found his rhythm again, as we expected. And this season, or the just concluded season, he won both the FA Cup for Turkey. He also won the league as well with Turkey. Now, everyone says, where do you go from here? He needs to go somewhere else. This same Napoli club, they've been holding out for a fat fee, just to sell him. We know Kvaratskhelia went over to PSG for how much? 60 million euros. Or was it 60, 65 million euros? They're holding out for 75 million euros for Osimhen. And so, yeah, everyone's got their opinion about where he should play, at what age, and all of that. So Osimhen is supposed to be 27, right? And I thought that the Saudi, league, they've been pursuing him for 2 years now. They wanted to take him over to Saudi. So my point is, yeah, there are several, schools of thought. Some of them are saying, you're 26, 27, your best years are ahead of you. I'll stay in Europe because we believe Europe is the holy grail of football. Is the holy grail of, club football. That is where you need to be. Yeah, they may be right. Oh, they're saying, okay, play for clubs like Chelsea, play for Arsenal, Liverpool, go to some of these big clubs, go to Germany, where's he going to go? He can go anywhere he wants. But the issue is, at this stage, what actually breeds, disrespect and racism? Yeah, we've always had the racist, thing. Football is part of the wider society, and the society has never got rid of racism, so it's always going to be there. So if you know that it's there, the only way you can do things from a logical perspective is to take the bull by the horn and start to own things. Now, moving to Saudi, Saudi is offering, I did a breakdown of how much Osimhen will be earning per year, but I don't have time for that today. So you imagine, it's not even imagine, we know what the offer is. Osimhen was given the offer to sign on for 5 million euros as a sign-on fee, and then 45 million euros every year. And they're going to give him a 3-year deal, right? Now, you know that is well over €500 million every year. So in 3 years, is well over 1.5 billion euros. And over in Saudi, you don't pay tax on your earnings. You don't pay tax. So I heard, we heard from the grapevine that Chelsea Football Club is once Osimhen. And Chelsea Football Club that is paying teenagers, 22-year-olds, 21-year-olds, that's paying them, they're paying them as much as 250,000 to play for them. And they cannot match Osimhen's salary from Napoli. So my point is, if you've won the Scudetto, that is the highest honor you can ever win in Italian league. And you won it in such a glorious fashion. 30-year wait, and you deliver, that cup to Naples. It's never going to be a second Scudetto that they won, this concluded season. The first one after 30 years is always the best. Did it, went to Turkey, won that. What glory are you still chasing? No, I don't see, the point of that, because as a black footballer, there's nothing, no matter how loved you are, whatever you do, there's always going to be that tinge of racism that you get, not only from the mainstream of society, but from those who employ you as well. Now, let's say Osimhen goes to Saudi, and after 3 years, he's got 1.5 billion euros in his back pocket. What do you think he can do to influence the society and the game itself? Do you know how many? He can even take over a Premier League club if he wants. He could go to the Championship and take over clubs like Sunderland, Birmingham, Leyton Orient, they're League One anyway. So that there is a plethora of clubs that he could take over easily and say, I'm running the game here. But that is why I say that when we do analysis, we should always put the fact that we are fans to the back corner and say, okay, put that aside. Let's think about it properly. Because I don't think that if you're going to change the perspective, you must have deep pockets. It's as simple as that. The Saudis, when they decided that they want to change their society, how it's organized, they want to open it up, and they want sports to be a major part of it, and they want sports to be a major part of their PR. What did they do? They brought money on the table, and suddenly, the biggest stars in boxing are going over to Saudi to fight. They're always looking for that money, right? Now, the biggest names in world football are going over to Saudi to play. So if you're playing in Turkey and you're playing in Saudi, I don't see any difference in this. And to get that such amount of deals in Saudi at this moment is a blessing of sorts. Why did I say that? There's a time limit to the Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. So I'll take you back. When Russia came into big money, Russia began to sign players and clubs that we do not even know about. A club called Anchi Makzala or Makzala, forgive me if I don't get the name right, signed Samuel Eto'o. Samuel Eto'o dropped everything he was doing in Europe and went over to Saudi to play. I think it was $65 million a year that it was on. I think when they broke it down, it was earning like $600,000 every week. Samuel Eto'o, arguably, you could say he was 30, 31, 32. He went there, took the money, and within 3 years, the old Russian experiment was done. They're no longer signing big players. The money was gone. Then we had China. China had the same experiment to become a big sporting, power in the world. Because you look at the World Cup, all of the biggest countries in the world, biggest military nations in the world, have probably won it. Only China have not been able to do that. And if you're going to extend your soft power, so you might have, the hard power, which is your military, your economy, the way you're organized. But if you're going to have soft power for people to relate with you, you have to do it through sports. And China, they've won every other sports imaginable, but the biggest sport, which is football, they weren't able to cut it, not even in Asia. So they threw out the red carpet and they were signing. In fact, they were signing players, 22-year-olds who are Brazil national team regulars. And quite a lot of names went over to China and then came back to play in the European leagues. Some of them came back into the Premier League. Some of them went back to the German league. Some of them went back to the Spanish league. Some of them went back to the Portuguese league. They took the money when they could. So that experiment, the Chinese experiment, was like 4 years. 4 years, and it was done. Now, we know that the Saudi Public Investment Fund is only 10 years because this sort of money that's being paid out, is set to achieve something that is beyond football. So that's what they're paying the money for. The whole experiment is only going to last 10 years. And we are like 4 years into that, where they signed it. Because how many season ticket holders do you get in Saudi that are paying maybe $3,000 a year, to watch their players? In fact, one of the league games in Saudi involving the former Liverpool captain, Jordan Henderson, had only 3,000 to 4,000 people in attendance. So how on earth do you think that there's that commercial bandwidth to drive revenue from either advertisers or from gate takings is simply not there. So that money is just been spent to create a spectacle, to create a make-believe, to create good PR for Saudi Arabia, so that Saudi can, I think is divest from oil and, move into different sectors of their economy, change the total structure and makeup of Saudi Arabia. That's what that money is there for. I think Osimhen going to Saudi for 3 years, and for God's sake, is not younger than John Duran of Aston Villa. John Duran of Aston Villa was being bounced around based on he's better, far, far better than the current guy they kept in Aston Villa. He was banging in the goal. They made him a super sub. And this guy said, look, if you're going to keep me on the bench, I better take the money from Saudi. Now he's took the money. Remember, Saudi wanted to sign Osimhen 2 seasons ago. And when he refused to go, they turned around and signed Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney of Brentford was on, is it £30,000 a week? Is it 30 or 35,000 pounds a week? That was what it was on. It was not up to 45. And they signed Ivan Toney on £444,000 a week with no tax. If you earn £100,000 a week in the UK, you are on the higher band of taxpayers. You're going to pay 40% of that money to the government. So if you get £100,000, £40,000 goes to the government before it touches your pocket. That's what we're saying here. So imagine that Osimhen says, I've had enough of all of this racism. I've had enough of all of this disrespect. And here's the Saudi investment fund that says they want to take me. Okay, you could bargain really hard and say, look, I'm worth 50 million euros a year. And you get it. They're going to pay it. They want you. Take that money. You end up with 1.5 billion euros. You're a billionaire. When you come back, everyone's going to respect you. And then you can buy clubs across Europe. You can buy a football club in France. You can buy a football club in the UK. You can buy a football club in Portugal. And then you can run feeder teams from Africa, and you can bring some of the fantastic players that we have in Africa. You can bring them into some of these clubs and sell them on for profits. Now, look at what is happening across all the football. Like, Mosport sent our reporter to Senegal to study, how they've done. Yeah, Simon Adingra came through that famous Senegalese, youth club, as well as quite a lot of these, players. I think Sadio Mane, this, that. Now, when they were sold to Europe, it was for peanuts. In fact, there's one of the players in the Nigerian national team that played at Unity Cup. It was sold for less than $600,000. Yeah, I get it. You could say, $500,000 or pounds converted to naira, converted to CD is quite a lot of money in local terms. But what does it do for you versus your cost of the production of these talents and your future continuity? What does it do for you? Look at the South American clubs. The South American clubs, when they discover young players, they're selling them for £2 million, £5 million, £10 million, £20 million. Players who are just 17-year-olds. How much did Saudi pay for that 17-year-old? So this is what we're saying. So this is why Africa is backwards. That is why we don't get money. So a lot of people who are telling Osimhen not to take the Saudi money, right, also acknowledges that we don't create enough talent in Africa. And all of them agree that you need funding. And they're looking up to either politicians or businessmen to fund football. But you have infrastructural deficit. You have structural deficit, organizational structure deficit. Any rich guy who comes into the space is looking to exploit the situation. It's not going to make it really happen. So that's why I say the Saudi Public Investment Fund is only going to be there for 10 years. It's unsustainable to keep paying this amount of humongous salaries, obscene salaries in perpetuity. They're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. So Osimhen taking that money, if you've got 1.5 billion euros in your pocket, trust me, you're going to sit on the table with the rich and you're going to dictate terms, mate. You're going to open up doors for other African players, other African countries to come into this league and to prosper. That is what Africa needs. So, finally, on the Osimhen issue, all they were saying is, okay, you know what? Let's. He needs to make a name for himself. He needs to win things. He needs to win the Champions League. He needs to do this. He needs to do that. Come on now. He's 27. Once you're 32, this game spits you out, right? Especially if you're African, they're looking to replace you really fast. What if he gets an injury tomorrow? Okay, the Brazilian, the Brazilian player who went, Neymar. Neymar didn't play more than 15 games cumulatively, and he went home with over 2 billion euros, over 2 billion euros. I think if it's not up to 3 billion euros that he went home with. I think he was tired of making money and he said, look, I'm going to go back to Brazil and probably enjoy the game. He's not doing very well there. But it's loaded. It can change anything he wants to change within their community. So this is what I'm saying, guys. I know I said I was going to check out, what you're saying. And I've got quite a lot of people joining us and saying things. So, all right. Tochi, yeah, I agree. We said racism in contemporary times is something else. If Salah, Osimhen could use Lukman, why not Africans? On the flip, if Africa sets politics like Saudi, they have the talent, then imagine what can happen. I agree with you. But someone has to, if your politicians are not doing it, they're not bringing in the money. If you're businessmen, we have Dangote in Nigeria. Okay. In the UK, in Italy, in Germany, in US, if you're running a multi-billion-dollar organization, you need to do something. You need to sponsor something because you need to connect with the people if you do it right. So I've been in branding for over 28 years. Why do I need to give money to a football club? Okay, Visit Rwanda is a campaign by the Rwandan government to stimulate tourism in Rwanda and to give that country a good PR because its PR was battered by the war. And there's this accusation of dictatorship around Kagame, who is the president. So what did they do? They just said, okay, we're going to go to Arsenal because how many people watch this Arsenal every week in, week out? Right inside the stadium, there are close to 50,000 people present. Imagine the energy. And across the globe, there'll be a minimum of 1 million people watching that game live. Now, when they watch it, then all the bloggers, all the media organizations are going to have clips of those games they show, and then you're going to see Visit Rwanda there. They want to pay. I think Rwanda paid about 10 million for about 3-year sponsorship for that, sidearm branding. And what are they gaining? They're gaining the privilege to connect with these people who are watching the game. That's what advertisers pay for, to get in touch with the audience that they want to reach out to. So, yeah, we're where we are because opportunities like this is not going to be here forever. So, uh, the football oligarchs in England are deliberately playing down those Osimhen's accomplishments you mentioned. Many Nigerians are either so naive in this latent racism or outright denial of the reality. So what I'm saying is, yeah, racism, you're not going to stop it. We've been here long enough to understand it, and that's one of the reasons why more sports exists, to tell our own side of the story. If Osimhen goes to Saudi, 3-year deal, 50 million euros. That is 550 million every 10 months. Let's say he lives on the rest of the money, of the rest of the 2 months. Right. You take 50 million, that's half a billion euros, right? Over half a billion. Half a billion, half a billion, half a billion. That's 1.5 billion plus. It already has enough money that it doesn't even need to earn for the next 2 years. So that's what I'm saying. Okay. That will be my bit. Keep the comments coming so that we can, if people are not understanding, look, if you're an African and you're traveling to the Western countries, yeah, you're traveling to the West, your experience is different from those who live there, who work there, who raise kids there, and who understand what is going on deeply. If Ademola Lukman was white British, he would be playing for a top UK club. It's as simple as that. His achievement in Atlanta, a mid-table club, and what he did with that club, people will be calling him a genius. But it is what it is. Okay, so let's do some ad, and then when we come back, we're gonna go to another issue. I just want you to see things from a 360-degree view of what we're talking about, how Black athletes are disrespected to the point of racist, takes on them. So yeah, when we come back, we'll discuss Coco Gauff. So welcome back. It's still more sports banter with Jesse. Okay, now if you're not understanding what I said last, if you're just a traveler into Western societies, if you're just a tourist, your experience is totally different. Everything wows you. You believe this is the be all and end all of civilizations. No. Those who live there, those who raise kids there, those who work there, pay taxes there, understand what is going on beyond the surface level. So, Coco Gauff is this young um, Black sister that's playing tennis. She started when she was so young. She was a precocious talent. And she's been around for a while, even though she was that young. She's that young. She's been around for a while. And now Sabalenka came from nowhere. Okay. The first Grand Slam that Coco Gauff was going to win was against Sabalenka in the same Paris Open. He won that. And there was a bit of disrespect, in that boy was not naked. He was not open to the eye. So this year, just last week, she got to the final. Sabalenka got to the final as well. And what happened? Coco Gauff beat her for the second time to get a second Grand Slam. And instead of her to say, "Oh, fair play, thank you, we'll meet again," and she started to come up with excuses. And some of this, it's so easy for a white person to just question the Black person without reserve. It is what happens. You don't have that cultural upbringing. When you do it, you are considered arrogant. So I won't talk much. I've selected 3 videos. Like I said, I don't own the copyright, and I've sent. We're using it under Creative Commons, rules. I've selected these videos from three different views: a white person, an Asian person, and a black person. If they're all pointing out certain things, then they can't all be wrong at the same time. So when we come back, we're gonna have a discussion about it. So I'm gonna play the videos one, two, three, and then we'll talk about it. Let's go.
If Iga would win me another day, I think she would go out today and she would get the win.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I'm here sitting here.
The mental gymnastics she's doing to undermine Coco's win, I mean, it's just giving that you hated being beat by a person of color. And she just hates that. So she's got to do this roundabout triangulation of why she lost. And also, it's not because Coco's better than her or, just beat her fair and square, but that she just played the worst in her life. Anything to discredit a person of color. It's just really bad sportsmanship, and the racism is showing. And Coco just being so classy with her response. I mean, she's so much younger than her, and she's just so much more mature.
So that is the first video. So you can see what she's saying. She's saying it was because of her color. And in Western society, if you're black or brown, you're expected to apologize whether you're wrong or right. So that's what she's saying there. That's what she means by, oh, our response was classy. If our response was straightforward and in your face, then they're going to turn her into the aggressor. So you get what I mean? So let's see the second one.
Guys, we really need to talk about this fucking person. Aryna Sabalenka basically took credit for Coco Gauff winning the French Open, saying that here, if you haven't seen it a million times, watch it for yourself.
She won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes from.
So she did kind of walk it back the next day, saying she played with purpose. It's not a fucking compliment. Yeah, she played with purpose. She purposely kicked your fucking ass. They've met up 11 times. Coco's won 6. Aryna's won 5. 2 of those wins for Coco were Grand Slams. U.S. Open, French Open. First time an American's won the French Open in decades. Aryna is number 1 in the world. She has earned that title. She is a champion through and through. But, I think when it comes to the two of them, mano a mano, Coco's number 1. I think she always will be, because I think she truly exemplifies what it means to be a champion on and off the court. Not just her grit and tenacity and sheer athleticism and determination, but her poise and her humility is why she's loved by millions. So Aryna can be number 1 for the rest of her career. She'll never be an icon. She's just not. That's not who she is.
So that is the video number 2. So as you can hear there, Coco Gauff is the first American to win the Paris Open in a long time. And she and Sabalenka have faced each other 11 times, and she's beaten her 6 times. And 2 of those times, she's won Grand Slams on each occasion. So if you're going to come out and say that, oh, she won because, oh, it was not your day, the sun was not shining right, you picked the wrong color of dress, you ate the wrong breakfast and all of that, at least let us know what the stats are, that 11 times you guys have played and she beat you 6 times. So what she was doing was to take away the shine from what Coco Gauff has just achieved. They can't bear to see you succeed. That is what she was trying to do. So if it was not that we have social media and we only have legacy media to deal with, traditional media, they would have reshaped it. They would have told the story against Coco Gauff, and that would have been the end of it. But people can spin the story. Social media, you can't really say, "Oh, I'm the only one that's got the footage," or I can tell the story the way I want. Everyone can spin it from their own point of view. So I'll play the third one, and then we can discuss that. Yeah.
This Belarusian tennis player is being called a sore loser for the comments she made after recently losing to champion Coco Gauff.
She won the match not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes.
So that's Arina Sabalenka. And to bring you up to speed, Coco Gauff recently beat her at the French Open final. But listen, Arina didn't take that L well at all.
It just hurts. Honestly, it hurts. Like, been playing really well, and then in the last match, go out there and perform like I did. That's hurt.
Now, all of this sparked a lot of online criticism. Just have a look.
She literally just won the French Open, and the girl that she beat is having a boo-hoo fest about how Coco wasn't necessarily the better player, but I just made too many mistakes, and blaming it on all these other factors.
Coco Gauff is already a household name. She's already cemented her place in tennis.
In fact, all that backlash prompted Arina to walk back her comments about Coco by saying this on her Instagram story. In part, and I quote, "She was the better player yesterday, and I want to give her the credit she earned," end quote. Well, after all the back and forth, Coco took the high road and then had this to say.
I was a little bit surprised, but about the comments and everything, but like I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure it was just an emotional day, emotional match.
So BG Squad, let me ask you, how do you feel about this? Was Arina out of line for her comments? Let me know right now in the comments below.
Welcome back. So that's exactly what I'm saying. Coco Gauff has just defeated her 6 times in 11 times. And she was there after she's had a backlash from a comment from the day before. And she was still saying, I want to give her credit. Do you understand? Like, it was just to give in the first instance, or just to take away. You can't take away what she won it. She worked for it. She won it fair and square. There's this, tennis arena. They put the two of you together there. They put the umpires there. There were a lot of, spectators there. And she won fair and square. So it was not yours to give or take whatever credit that she deserves. So this is what I'm saying, that when we talk about these sports and you're not understanding what's going on, Coco Gauff is not even is not a Black African. She's a Black African, but she's not from an African country. She's a US citizen. She was born in the US. And look at what they're saying to her. So imagine if she was playing or she was growing up in Europe, what's going to happen? Well, she's got quite a lot of references, Black players from Althea, Althea Gibbs, right down to, the Venus, and the sister. She's got a lot of references. People should have gotten over that and celebrate people when they win. Well, no, it's about, no, you're not better than me because you're Black. And this affects not only the way we speak socially, it also affects how you earn money and how you earn things. And that's what we're going to discuss in the FIFA Club World Cup. So people, if you're not getting it, we like to break things down, So I've got another comment from the legend who says, I think the likes of Aliko Dangote, Maki Dinuga, Tony Lumelu, Fulaki Alakija, and the others can help investing in sports, especially in our local football in Nigeria. Dr. Patrice Motosepe and other oligarchs across North Africa and Tanzania have shown us that it's possible to run a successful football club. Mamelodi Sundowns is a super African club, thanks to Patrice Motosepe. Yeah, bro, the legend, that's exactly what I've discussed. We should not be relying on them doing this out of their own free will, because a lot of them are not going to. We should be relying on the system, the set of rules and laws and tax. A lot of Africans don't understand that society is built as a component, as a system. So if the rich guys, if the corporations and companies are not paying their taxes, from which you can set up government can redirect that money, redistribute that money, and set up sports and fund it, then we're going to be relying on their mercy. We'll be at their mercy, right? So we had this in Nigeria as well. Way before South Africa or the Black South Africans were allowed to do something. Yeah, we had Abiola with Abiola Babes. We have in 1 year national. So these clubs were named after their billionaire owners. So yeah, so we've had this kind of billionaires in Nigeria, and for a while, they had sway. But the problem with that is when the owner dies and something happens, nobody is able to carry on. And you need, especially when you don't have access to more money and more means of making money, then you need to bring. Look, if Osimhen's a footballer. He came from nothing, right? He lived in Lagos, and the part of Lagos he lived in was a ghetto, man. Yeah, I can say that. So that's exactly what we're saying. That if Osimhen knows and understands where the shoe hurts, where it pinches, and is a billionaire, he's able to spend money in those areas. Do you know that if he's got 1.5 billion euros in his pockets, in his back pockets, he could go back to Ojota in Lagos, set up a massive football training, center, entertainment center that's going to run itself from the money that's generated. And he's able to now buy clubs at second divisions, for top division clubs in Europe, and then filter those talents through that area till they get to the top. And he can make a lot of money doing that. So when you're asking him to chase, he's already won the Scudetto. He's already won the Turkish league. It's not as if he's going to hang up his boots in Saudi. Ronaldo plays in Saudi. John Duran plays in Saudi. Ivan Toney plays in Saudi. Sadio Mane plays in Saudi. Lots of fantastic players play in Saudi. He's going to play there. We're going to see him. What is the difference between the Turkish league and the Saudi league in terms of quality? That's exactly what we're saying here. So this is what we're saying. Keep the comments coming. It means that we're all on the same page, and we're enjoying this discourse. So we need to extend our thinking beyond the pedestrian levels. We just need to understand that if you're disadvantaged in certain areas, you need to employ unorthodox means to get to where you're going. That is what management is. And I'm not saying this as just a sports pundit. I'm an innovation manager. So I understand systems and how these things work. So this is the insights that we want to bring into sports. Nobody's going to, you can't say, okay, we're making Osimhen's decision for him. No, nobody's going to make that decision for you. Nobody. You're going to make it yourself. But we can point out to opportunity costs. We can point out to what could have been done better. That's exactly what we're doing. Take the money. The money is not going to be there. It's a 10-year project. Do you know how much money that Saudi is putting in golf? This time, Live Golf. They're putting so much money in boxing. They're putting so much money in football. They're putting so much money in athletics. And now we're going to go to FIFA Club World Cup. And it's still the same Saudi Public Investment Fund. So you get it now. So if you can connect the thread, you see that money that is being pushed by these Arab countries. And we also know, take this from me, this is not even sports. This is proper business and strategic foresight and what is going to happen in the future, right? The old global economy is getting, with AI and robotics, China completed 158 kilometers of road without human involvement. It was just AI and robots and machines, doing the work. Already, China is employing over 35,000 robots, to work. So this is my field. Now we're going to have what you call agents, AI agents or AI super agents. So let's say you have a company and you want to do marketing, you want to set it up, you want to build websites, you want to do all of that. All you're just going to do is get one agent and pay for the use of that agent. And the agent is a super agent. He's going to employ other agents. They're going to sort out the website, sort out the marketing, sort out the structure, sort out the organizational leadership, and then they give you a business just like that. So when we go into this world, there will be a lot of people that are unemployed. And so what happens? Historicity comes in. If you go back to Roman Empire, that was when they built the Colosseums that looks like our stadium today. When the empire could no longer feed the people or keep them in employment, what did they do? They built sports stadiums, to distract them. The gladiator games. This is exactly what's going to happen with that as well. So if you look at the Premier League, look at the 5 European leagues, you can see lots of investment money pouring into the league, and you don't understand why. Look at Chelsea Football Club. They're just pushing absurd amounts of money into that club. They don't care if they make a loss or not. They're preparing for that future, right? Chelsea is owned by the Americans. Liverpool is owned by the Americans. Everton Football Club is now owned by the Americans. Manchester United was owned by the Americans. It's still owned by the Americans. Manchester City by the Arabs, right? Newcastle United by the Arabs. So I think Crystal Palace now has half and half English and half Americans. So that is what's going to happen in the future, guys. So let's quickly go to FIFA World Cup because I don't have a lot of time left. So I hope you get in the future. So the future is football, is sports generally, because if you get universal basic income and you don't have work, you have to need some kind of distraction, which we already have now. Go to Lagos, go to the streets of Africa. You're going to see these viewing centers. When I was growing up, viewing centers were just an infinitesimal part of society. Now it's a massive, big. The last time I went to Lagos, it was a big time business worth billions of naira. Just in Lagos, viewing centers. Hotels are now into it to drive, traffic. Everyone's doing it. So that's what the future is, a small picture of the future that you have there. Okay, FIFA World Club. So again, I'm going to just give you the basic, what it's all about. So I'm going to let this video, let's play another video to see what it's all about. Then I can come and discuss the monetary aspect of it and how African clubs are not making enough out of that money on offer. Let's go.
Who cares about the Club World Cup? Well, now it's worth $125 million to the winner. Check this. European teams make $12.8 million just for making it to the competition. Some of the elite European clubs get way more. Each group stage win gets you $2 million. If you make it out of the groups, an extra $7.5 million. Quarterfinals, an extra $13 million. If you make it to the final, add $30 million onto that. And if you win it, another $40 million comes your club's way. Winning the tournament, unbeaten, gets your club $125 million. It's insane, and that's why some clubs are making some strategic business moves ahead of the tournament. Remember, the Champions League is bigger and pays more money. The Club World Cup is now extremely rewarding. FIFA is making European football extremely lucrative. The gulf between the elite clubs and the rest of the pack just getting bigger. Follow for more to learn about the business of sport.
Okay, shout out to Long Play UK for that clip. So I sent you a message, but I've used it on that Creative Commons, license. Anyway, that's exactly what we're saying. So the World Club football, it's got a lot of money in it, and I want to say from the beginning that FIFA are loaded. So if you sat there, they're going to pay out all of the money they're going to spend is around 460 million euros or something like that. But guess how much they got for the sponsorship? It says it's on BBC site. So I always go to the source and give you the quotes. FIFA sealed a commercially inexplicable broadcasting deal. So did you listen to that word? Commercially inexplicable. just I've been telling you that is a 10-year program. And the sort of money that they're paying players. Imagine if Osimhen goes up to Saudi in 3 years, is have 1.5 billion euros in his back pockets. Look at how much Ronaldo is taking on. Look at how much all these guys. I mean, Ivan Toney was actually taken to the court for betting. I think he was getting 25,000-30,000 pounds, and that was not enough for him. So he resorted to betting. Now, when you're getting 444,000 pounds a week, what are you going to bet on? Even the betting, the betting stakes are not going to pay you that much. That's how it. So that's what they mean by commercially inexplicable, because Saudi cannot justify a return on the money that they're spending. So let me read it quickly. FIFA sealed a commercially inexplicable broadcasting deal for the Club World Cup, said to be worth $1 billion, with an entity that is now part owned by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. That was on BBC 11 hours ago. So, yeah, I can tell you if you want to know who is playing, who is not playing. The African clubs that are going to do it is Esperance de Tunis, best ranked eligible team in the CAF 4-year ranking. Egypt Al Ahly, they're the winners of 2020-21 CAF Champions League. Then we have Morocco Wydad AC, winners of 2021-22 Champions League. And then we have Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa, second best ranked eligible team in the CAF 4-year ranking. So these are the teams that are going there. So as you can see there, just for if they win a game, what did he say again? It's about around 8 million, 8 million, yeah. No, if they get out of the group, it's 8.5 million. If they win a game, they're getting like 3 million in it, euros or dollars, whatever it is. So it is really competitive. That was why Madrid did just not hand over 10 million to Liverpool after signing Alexander Trent-Arnold on a free. That is also inexplicable. But because they have a chance to make around 150, 180 million USD, right? They quickly handed 10 million up front to Liverpool. Please release this player for us. We want to test our team going forward, our structure going forward, our play patterns going forward. So we need you at this tournament. We can get out of it. They already made the money back. So now, if I want to talk for Europeans or talk to everybody, I'll say, oh, these players need rest. They need this, they need that. Bro, that is true. It's true. But this is more sports. I look at things from the lens of the African or the Black community. Now, look at all these teams from Africa. If they get at least $3 million each for being in the... Look at the European clubs. Before they even kicked a ball, look at how much they've been given. If you don't know, let's play it again, guys. Let's play it again for you.
Who cares about the Club World Cup? Well, now it's worth $125 million to the winner. Check this. European teams make $12.8 million just for making it to the competition. Some of the elite European clubs get way more. Each group stage win gets you $2 million. If you make it out of the groups, an extra $7.5 million. Quarterfinals, an extra $13 million. If you make it to the final, add $30 million onto that. And if you win it, another $40 million comes your club's way. Winning a tournament, unbeaten, gets your club $125 million. It's insane, and that's why some clubs are making some strategic business moves ahead of the...
Okay, so that's exactly what I'm saying. Now, all of these teams, that are qualified, okay, you qualify from Africa, you're paid not as much as the European teams. And one of the things that's been good, they said after getting all of these deals that they've got, they've got almost $1 billion. FIFA has set, the ticket price is at $300, and you're playing this in America. And the guys who watch soccer, as they say in America, they're not the rich, ones. It's not basketball. And eventually, something good came out of it because they couldn't fill the stadiums, and they went to the university. There's a university very close to that space, and they got they filled the stadiums basically with all of these so the match is going to be I think it's Inter Miami versus Inter Milan. So yeah, no, sorry, I think I missed something there. Anyway, so that is what it is. So guys, this is what we're talking about. Now imagine that African teams they keep their talent at home and they can get out of these areas, and they know that if they go out there, they're coming back with $30 to $40 million. That for a Nigerian club, that will set you up for another 3 to 4 years, and that's what we should be targeting. Do you understand? Let's say Osimhen has got 3 years to come, he's got 1.5 billion euros. And is investing. Don't even invest in Europe yet. You can invest in Europe and invest in Nigeria. Buy one of these legacy clubs. Buy Stars Football Club of Lagos. Revive it. Make it a strong one. Then you can target this sort of money. You can win everything in Africa. Target this sort of money. Keep your talents together. And when you let them go, you let them go for good, amount of money. So this is the bigger picture that we need to start to see. Yes, we're fans. We love to drink our beer, eat our nkwobi, and enjoy the sports. Let's do that by all means necessary, because that's how we take all the weight of day-to-day life, away from us. So that's good. But what I'm saying is that at some point, we need to get our thinking out on and raise our level of thinking. And we can say, look, only very few players of African descent are going to be called by the Saudi fund or the Saudi teams to earn this kind of money that's available. They're not going to go to Mamelodi Sundowns and Stars of Lagos or Uwayo National or Sharks of Port Harcourt, or go to some unknown Tanzanian club and say, we want to sign you for the Saudi League. You're there for a reason. Out of all the Nigerians playing down there, I think it's Osimhen because they have a profile. They have a profile that they're looking for. Lookman is there. Has he been signed? If they call him, I would say to him, go get the money first. Get the money, play for 3 years. Okay. Do you know that about 6 players or 7 players within the Liverpool Football Club, by 2030, this is 2025, 5 years later, they will still be like 25 to 27 years, because we're signing Wirtz is 22. At 5 years, so he's just 27. At 27, he will be at the peak of his powers. So if you go down to Saudi, take the money for 3 years as an African, your trajectory, your growth trajectory as an African is different, way different from other players coming from Brazil, coming from Europe. Yeah, you should know that. Okocha was one of the best that ever graced the sport. They pushed him out of PSG for Ronaldinho. That's what happened. So, guys, I think we have done. So that's FIFA World Cup. It's starting today. Are we interested in that? Yeah, because of the African teams, so we're going to watch it. But is this something that excites me? Not really. And before I go, last week something really good happened. The international friendlies. England lost 3-1 to Senegal, and Brazil lost 2-1 to Morocco. In Brazil, they felt that, okay, the team is still, we're building, In England, all of the press was saying, how could you lose? That's the tone. How could you lose to Senegal? This is disgraceful. This is blah, 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 blah. But none of these tabloids and none of these people, all these pundits, looked at this Senegal team and said, this team is full of world beaters, of fantastic talents. If England lost to them, that's fair play. None of them. Senegal is beneath them. That is what we're dealing with. So when you can take the money, whether the money is in Europe, Saudi, take the money. Take it for 2 years. You're not going to die. You're going to come back. Just make sure you give your best while you're there. You're going to get noticed. So I hope that we've been able to trash some of these issues and learn new things of ourselves. The video is still going to be on our YouTube and, Facebook, platforms. I always read what you write. Please keep it coming. I'll respond to you. Somebody's going to respond to you. So don't forget to subscribe to our channels. So we want to thank you. We want to thank all of you that have been watching us and subscribing to our channels. On Facebook, we're approaching 30,000 subscribers now. And then on YouTube, it just went, we're going all the way to 3K now. We're on the way there. So we don't take you lightly. We appreciate what you're doing with us. We appreciate that you put your faith in us to research all of this. And so all of this stuff that we've been saying since is not, I got the videos, that's just by the way. It's basic research. And after we've researched, we have to think, that is what the thinking stage is. What is best for Africans? How can we get out of this? Do we need to raise our level of thinking? That is what I think this should be for us. Of course, when the football season is on, we'll banter, we'll, say all the things that we need to say to ourselves. Your team is not good, my team is better, and all of that. That's fine. We love that. We're going to do that. We're going to do a lot of it because we need to take the pressure off. But when it comes to saying the truth, when it comes to sharing the structure behind football or the structure behind sports, then we will do it. We will do it. And then maybe the guys who are coming can understand how this works, and then they can make sound decisions. So I hope you have a fantastic rest of the weekend. I hope you have a fantastic week coming ahead. So it's been nice hanging with you. I say, ciao, enjoy your day. Bye.